Hey guys, welcome back to this week's podcast. We're so happy you came back to join us. We're very excited because today we get to hear from an amazing couple, and that's Cody and Chrysta Vela. They've been a part of our church for a while. They serve in so many different areas. You've probably seen Cody on some of our broadcasts that we do for online church. You'll know him to be a tremendous guy with a great personality, but you're in for a super big treat because his wife's even funnier. So we're very excited to speak with them today. Thanks so much for coming out.
Yeah, glad we could come out.
That's awesome.
Just so you know,
yeah,
it's Vela.
What I say Vela? I
Yep.
say Vela every time.
Here's the thing, you want to remember it?
Yeah.
Vela, pretty fella. That's how you remember it.
That's probably why I constantly forget.
You know.
Wow.
Vela. All right.
There you
Well,
go.
we'll fix that in editing. Well, guys, it is really good to have you. We do like to start with like a really big question. We like to hit the hardest question right out the gate.
Do it.
So go ahead, Mandy.
Ready?
Here we go.
If you were a potato, what way would you be cooked?
Oh, I know you already. Maybe.
Probably a waffle fry.
I knew it.
A waffle fry.
Like Chick-fil-A?
Yes.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah.
Absolutely.
What do you think I would say? I don't think you know. This is
Who
gonna
would know this?
I know, it's true.
Right.
I knew the waffle fry. I knew that one.
Yeah.
What would you say, mashed or diced?
Maybe mashed. But I was actually thinking, I can't remember what's the I always get the hash brown different situations
Sure.
mixed up. What's the shredded one?
Hash
brown.
browns.
That is hash
Yeah,
browns. Okay.
yeah, that's
then
hash
what's
browns.
home style?
Those are
Diced ones.
Those are the
thick,
thicker
or
ones.
the
Yeah,
ones
the
cut in
cubes.
squares
Okay.
with the peppers.
So I'd actually say hash browns.
I
Hash
was
brown's a
gonna
good
say
way.
hash browns, but I didn't know which.
Yeah.
Which.
There you go.
That's why I said just
That's a
diced.
close one.
I don't know.
I mean, you were close, right? I feel like you're in the ballpark. So
Four choices.
there's a lot of choices with potato, and it took you guys a very long time to answer that question. Well, guys, thanks so much for doing this. We really wanted to just give everybody an opportunity to hear your story, your testimony. So I guess we really want to know, tell us about we've known you, while you've been coming to the church, and I'd love to hear how you encountered Christ and how that worked for you. And if you just tell us your testimony.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I was saved when I was 4.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, I don't know. I don't have the exact moment, but I
Sure.
remember being 5, and if I did something wrong, I would say the salvation prayer just to make sure I was still saved.
Just double check it a lot. Yeah.
I would close the door and just pray just to make sure, double check.
Yeah.
So that was the beginning, and then I really never got off the path because I didn't see a reason to.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what was your home? What was your home environment like that you would get saved at 4?
Well,
I can answer this.
my mom is the movie War Room.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mom is that lady.
Wait, who's in that? What was that?
The
War Room, it's a prayer movie.
Yeah.
And then,
Okay.
so the main lady is black.
Yeah.
And so, I think it's her mom or something. The older lady, that's my mom.
Sure.
So,
Okay.
yeah, that's
Very much so.
And then my dad, he was just a funny, Christian guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he was an elder in the church. And so, and I was also homeschooled. So I was home in that environment
All the time. All the time.
Yeah, so.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So your whole life, you remember being saved.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Over and over again.
Over and over, over and over.
I got baptized when I was 11. I remember that to the day.
Wow.
I remember, me and my sisters all got baptized on the same day. I remember I was filled in the Spirit probably when I was 11 as well.
That's
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah,
That's amazing. So you and your sister, how many sisters do you have?
3.
3. You all got baptized on the exact same day.
Yes.
Just throw them all in the tub.
Just throw them all right. Wow. Now tell us that story.
How did we all
Yeah,
get baptized on
yeah,
the same day?
yeah.
Well, there's only certain dates that you could pick from. And I don't know why my older sisters weren't baptized now thinking about it. But I guess we just all decided that we wanted to be baptized. And then we just went for it
Was it like at church then?
at church.
So they have like a baptismal pool right there?
They do.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. They make a big deal about it, like cake after. Is there cake?
I don't think that there was cake. I feel like I remember. But I just
All right.
remember. Well, I remember after we got baptized, you know how there can be like spiritual opposition. Like,
Yeah.
We like all got sick
Did you?
the next day.
No, wow.
Nothing crazy, just like a cold. Or
Yeah.
something.
Yep. That's awesome. That's really cool. So what was it like in your home? Like, you know, you guys are, you're 11. How old were your sisters then?
So I have one that's 2 years younger.
Okay.
And then the next one, like above me, is 4 years older. And then
Okay.
2 years older than that.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So it's
Wow.
like, there's a little gap, and then
Sure.
But me and my youngest are like
That's really
very
cool.
tight.
That's really cool. So you just grew up in the home, and so what age did you move out?
When did I move out?
When did you move out of your home?
I guess college was the start.
Sure.
So when I was 17, I went to GRCC.
Yeah.
That's where I met him.
Yeah.
But my parents had bought like a rental property for my older sister, so she went to GRCC first, and then so she moved out there. And then once I was at GRCC, I moved out there.
Okay. And so so you grew up in this household of faith. You're saved at 4, you get baptized at 11, and now you move out to go to college. Right? What was that like? 'Cause it's probably like the first time you actually probably stepped out of that, I guess what I would call like a safety net of just this really strong Christian family who, you know, your mom's praying all the time for everybody all the time.
Let me just paint a picture.
Yeah. All right.
When I met Chris's parents, Fred and Michelle, I'll never forget. Do you remember the snowball for the Detroit Lions? That
Yeah.
game, what was it,
Yeah.
against the Eagles?
Yeah.
It just snowed.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I went over to their house. We're watching the game. I had a fantasy. I had Calvin Johnson in this game. Had a decent game, if I remember correctly. I go to turn on the game, and no exaggeration, Fred tells me, he says, "We're actually watching service. You can watch it after." And I was like, I thought it was a joke. Because if I said that, if my dad said that to me, I'd say, "Good one." This is the snowball. There's so much snow, his face mask is covered.
Yeah.
And he says, "No, we'll watch this after." And then I look back at him. I'm smiling because I think he's telling me to joke. But no, he wasn't messing around. We watched service, and then afterwards, we got to watch the game.
Dude, that's
how it goes.
awesome.
But it wasn't, and again, it wasn't ever this like a testament to your parents in terms of what they've, the way that I've always known them is they're probably the two most godly people that I've ever met
So
in my
cool.
life. Just in terms of the way that they've done their household and knowing
Yeah.
their sisters and what they've done. Literally, probably two people that hold themselves high to excellence.
So
I'd say
good,
that
man.
very much so. But yeah, wouldn't let me watch that game. We have to talk about that.
I've never gone back over there on a Sunday.
Literally.
Oh, that's awesome. So you move out, you're 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
What was that like, stepping out into the world, coming out of that home environment?
To the real world.
Well, I think they're both real, but I think one's different. Right?
Well, when I say I was homeschooled, I did take classes out. So, like, when I was 14, I took college class out, like, at the actual campus. So
Sure,
I was
okay.
around
Oh,
college
so you're
age.
super smart. 14 in college?
You were
It's
doing
just-
co-op classes.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
just like
Yeah.
a homeschool thing.
Sure,
You just
sure,
gotta-
sure.
So I was around college age students when I was younger. So I was around older people, and I just kind of knew how to carry myself. So when I was actually that age, I guess I felt a little older or had
Sure,
like
sure.
a little bit on some of the other people because it wasn't like my newfound freedom or something.
Yeah.
I just felt like, oh, this is what you do.
It's just it, right? It's just okay.
Yeah, so it wasn't anything crazy. Like,
Well, that's good.
yeah.
That's good.
I didn't I don't know.
And then
You know
how long after you
college-
started school did you meet this stud?
Oh, I met him the first semester.
First
Ooh.
semester. Wow. Did
But
you
I-
like him right away?
I was just gonna say I didn't.
Oh,
just
no.
so you know.
Oh,
It was mutual,
no.
right?
Yeah,
We didn't
okay.
like each other.
Oh, okay. You say that. You say that now, right?
Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm excited to get to that story, but I guess before we get there, we should kind of tell everybody a little bit about you, sir.
Yes, so I grew up in a Catholic home
Sure.
since I think I took catechism and was baptized when I was 8. In our family, family and tradition is a major part.
Sure.
What I guess would be our compass, right? In
Yep.
terms of what points us north. And so in regards to that, I've always had a wherewithal of who God was, what
Yeah.
Jesus was, and that type of thing. And so because of that, I'll always accredit where I'm at in my faith because of those upbringings. I think
Sure.
some people might say, oh, well, maybe you didn't have the relationship aspect, but it's like, no, I had the opportunity of being in church,
Yeah.
knowing my family being a part of that. And so I come from two very hardworking parents.
Sure.
We watched my parents do more than they probably needed to just to continue to see us move forward.
Awesome.
And extra jobs, and my dad going to school at nights, and my mom working paper routes and dragging us out to do paper routes, just so that we could continue to move forward and
Yeah.
have experiences and have just things that they didn't have growing up.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that, again, it kind of attributed to where I was at. And so I didn't fall off the path, and I'd say in most regards, I'd claim myself as being a good kid. I did
Yeah.
things well just because I was raised in a good home.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until kind of coming out of high school, baseball and sports and friendships were really, at that time, my faith.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
so that's where everything kind of stemmed from. And so when you leave out of high school and you leave that realm and
Yeah.
you leave everything you know, and I wasn't playing baseball anymore, which kept me on a good path, it was more or less, well, what can I get into now?
Sure.
What's going to bring this on?
Yeah.
And so a lot of that just caused wandering. And
Yeah.
so I think in terms of where I was at, just I never was really confident in who I was. And
Sure.
so a lot of that it just was attributed to that. And so I wasn't confident in where I wanted to go, and I wasn't decisive. And so a lot of that, easiest way to describe it, is I just wandered. And so I
Yeah.
was kind of looking for what could fulfill that portion, right?
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until it was like one of the things I'll say is just as quickly as I was going down and looking and wandering, it was like as quickly as God was like, nope,
So
let's
good.
just take you from here and come up real quick.
That's
and,
awesome.
that's been a testament to literally our life and
Yeah.
my life, and then our lives coming together. And so it was right at about a year or so out of high school. I'd gotten invited to go to this at-home group, and it was just it was called Project Revival. It was something that happened outside of the church building to
sure.
make it more inviting for just youth in general to
Yeah.
come experience God in
Yeah.
general.
Yeah.
And it's weird because I remember there was a few times I'd come home from it and be like, my dad would be like, "It's late, where have you been?" And I was like, "We were praying." And he's like, "Yeah, okay." Like, come on, you got to come up with a better
Right.
one than that. And so no, I got invited to it from buddies that I grew up with and who had met Jesus as their Lord and
Yeah.
Savior, and they said, "You need to come through." And I was like, "Sure, I'm a great kid, I'll come through." So I went through, and I still, literally the first time I went, I probably don't even remember anything about that first meeting other than,
Sure.
all right, maybe I'll come back again. Sure enough, I ended up coming back again, and this was 2009 or so. So I went back again, and that was the day that I met Jesus Christ. And
So cool.
I got invited up, just asked if I had felt kind of this presence, right, of terms of just coming to awareness, right, the Spidey sense of faith. I had this Spidey sense that was kicking in, like,
Yeah.
there's something more here. And so I got up and prayed, and my current employer, the boss who runs the company, he led me in a prayer of salvation.
So cool.
You can say what you want in terms of where you believe your faith is and with God specifically and what he can do, but I'll never forget. I felt water rush from my toes all the way up into my body, and as soon as I got right here, I always say this, it all came out.
Yeah.
And, I'll never be able to trade that experience, and people say that, oh yeah, there's miraculous things, and
Yeah.
I believe in the miraculous, we believe in the
Yeah.
miraculous, and that's exactly what happened.
So
And,
cool.
And then that point forward, it was a complete transformation in terms of, all right, well, maybe my life does have purpose. And
Yeah.
what does that purpose look like? And again, kind of piggybacking off of my upbringing, my parents were always there pushing me forward to continue to do more. And
Come on. That's
what does
awesome.
that look like? And so,
Yeah.
so I think there was a little bit of hesitation because now maybe I wasn't going to the same church as they were.
Sure, yeah.
But it was now this new who is this in essence? And but again, I've always had people that have been in my corner and always called out more in me and probably saw more in myself than I saw. And so yeah, that was the turning point.
That's amazing.
And then I probably wandered in my faith for a few years.
Sure.
No. To church and things like that. And really got planted in. And we got planted in here at the point for what? When we got married almost five years ago.
Wow.
And then again, that was just a whole nother transition in our faith. In my faith, I'd say more or less. Just because now you're a part of the family.
Yeah.
And being a part of that family, what does that look like? And so yeah. And then again, it feels like it's in waves, and now it's another season of that.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's it.
So when you got saved, and now you're going to a different church than your parents.
Yeah.
How was that for them? I know you said they encouraged you, but like how was that for them, you think?
Yeah, I think if I put myself in my parents' shoes, it probably looked different because it's this transition. And I'd use the best way to liken it to is I lived at home for much longer than she did until I was about, 23, 24?
Yeah, because when I went to Central, then he moved into the house that I used to
Oh, no, okay, wow.
No overlap.
Right, yeah.
So, when she was out, then I came.
That's awesome.
But it was the best way I can liken it to. Yeah, 2014 at least. I was moving out. And I think my dad felt that because him and I share a very close bond.
Yeah.
My mom probably felt that just in terms of being so close to my dad. And so it was this new transition. And so it was, well, he's no longer here.
Yeah.
And he's not in this tradition and in this role. And so I think for them, that was tough. But I think if you ask them today, they're probably grateful and probably proud that those things happened in that same regard. So
that's really cool.
So yeah, which is wild because at the time I think it's just you think, oh, change is bad, and then this isn't good, and then 2 years later, I'm so glad that he did that. And when I moved out, my dad and my relationship I think got stronger.
Yeah.
Because there's
Think.
yeah, it did. Just because as a man you're ready to establish yourself, but I'm still staying up until 3 o'clock in the morning playing video games and drinking Red Bull.
Yeah.
And he's thinking, how are you a man if you're doing this? That kind of thing. And so then I moved out and still did that.
I was going to say, does that change?
No,
Does that change?
not a lot. Just a very, very tiny bit.
But yeah, so I think for them it was probably good.
Yeah, it's good.
I'd say it was good.
I think I love listening to you tell your testimony, your story. And one of the things that really blessed me is how honoring you were to how your parents raised you. And I think one of the things me and Mandy talk about all the time is I'm very grateful for a lot of the aspects of my childhood, right? It's not, obviously I didn't grow up in a Christian faith, but there was a lot of principles that my parents put into me that I'm very grateful for, 100%. Right? And listening to you tell the story about us, going to church together and having like family be a huge part of your thing, and the way you honored that, it just speaks tons of your character, right? Because so many people, when they encounter change and encounter Jesus, they kind of sometimes, I don't want to say forsake everything else that happened in their life to get them to where they're at, but they almost look down on it. Like there was nothing good in that season. And I just love the way you spoke about it, right? And the person that you are, I anticipated that you would honor that upbringing because there was obviously so much good that came from it. And obviously you have a lot of respect for your parents. And
very much.
I think your parents did a great job. So shout out to your mom and dad.
Thank you.
The only thing I don't understand is how did they let you become a Yankees fan?
Yeah, so there's a long story. I mean, I grew up playing baseball since literally not many people know about this. So to get into T-ball, you have to be 4.
Yes.
So that's what it was. My dad lied about my age
You
at
are
3,
one of
so I could get in.
those.
Yeah.
I
And so
see.
we might have did the same thing.
Yeah, I tried that for.
Yeah, and so we were that family, and so I was playing catch, and so. But anyways, he's been a Tigers fan. He was raised in Texas and things like that. So, but my dad was the athlete of the family.
Sure.
And probably one of my sisters as well. They were the athletes. I think because I was the boy, you're expected to be the athlete. I was never the greatest athlete. I knew the sport well, and I mean, I'd say that if we went and throw a ball, I'd throw it well, and I pitched, and I played shortstop, which are great positions.
They are.
How it goes.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I just always picked out Derek Jeter. Derek Jeter
Yeah.
was my guy. I grew up also too with Cal Ripken and
Yeah.
Ken Griffey.
Oh, yeah.
I'd say this hesitantly now because of the times and season, but Ken Griffey Jr., I thought one day I would be Ken Griffey Jr., even if it meant I'm going to turn black. So I thought maybe at some point this is going to happen. So, literally, Ken Griffey Jr.
I think we all thought that.
Yeah.
We all were in the same spot.
Yeah, and so Ken Griffey Jr., but literally Derek Jeter, he was the man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so Yankees were my team. I rooted against them when they were playing the Tigers all the time. And so
Sure.
that was my team. But
I was a huge, obviously, Ken Griffey Jr. fan. I think he's the greatest baseball player to ever play. Greatest I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But he loved, I said I'm a Boston Red Sox fan, so Nomar Garciaparra was,
Yep.
I thought he was amazing. When we traded him the year we won the World Series, I cried.
for sure.
I cried, man. I felt so bad for him. But it's every time I see where the Yankees hat, I think, man, there's one thing we need to address. Let's just pray right now. Let's intercede on his behalf.
Every time I see a Yankees hat, I think of almost having to birth our child at home because the Yankees and the Red Sox were playing in the playoffs, and we could not go to the hospital until
The game was
the
over.
game was over.
Oh, jeez.
So I almost birthed our daughter at home because of these two sports.
Yeah,
So
yeah. That's glad you shared that story. That's awesome. Yeah, it was the year before the Red Sox won the World Series. They were playing the Yankees in the championship game, and they lost. And Mandy was convinced it was time to have the baby, but she had said that a couple times before.
Right.
And I was like, "Baby, there's
All
no
those
way.
Braxton
There is
Yanks
no
go.
way.
Come
Game
on.
6, we gotta go in. You know, this is Game 6." And we got there, and she was right. She couldn't have an epidural anymore because it was too far along. And yeah, the good news is it's not like I've heard that story every couple of days for 17 years or so. You know, but
Right.
yeah, the next year they won the World Series, so it worked out for me. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I was holding Nicole when they won too.
Oh.
She was just a little baby, you know. So thought I don't need any more kids now.
This is
Red
it.
Sox won. This is a sign.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's my dad used to do a similar thing. We kind of caught onto this trail, and maybe the kids caught onto it for you. Anytime Michigan, huge Michigan football fan.
Sure.
oh, I love Michigan.
Yes. And
Yes.
so my dad's had season tickets since, 92, 94.
Sure.
And so we found out pretty quickly, if Michigan won, he's in a really good mood. This is the best time to ask him for
Oh,
things.
yeah.
And so when they won in 97, national
Oh
championship,
man.
I'll never forget, we all got hamsters. Everybody got hamsters.
Hamster.
Yeah. That
Oh
was the
my
thing at that time. So,
I get it.
so yeah, now it's
The kids
probably
did that
similar
with with certain sports.
Oh yeah, if the Red
And I
Sox
mean,
won, they'd
even
come
the
down and
kids-
ask me for stuff.
Oh, yeah.
all
The
time.
kids do that now, like Chandler, if he likes Patriots or Tom Brady, and
Yeah.
you know, he'll feel generous if he wins.
Yeah.
There's ever no hope with Austin for the team he likes. They're
He's a
never
Jets
winning.
fan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that poor guy.
Poor guy's gonna just a
You
lifetime
know.
of letdown.
Lifetime of letdown.
And it'll keep happening.
It's just gonna keep
His
happening.
poor kids.
Yeah. Well, man, that's an amazing story. So now you're saved. You're moved out, right? You're in college. Tell me how you meet this. Tell me this story. How you guys become one. I'd love to hear that.
Go ahead.
Well, you argue about this, but we were in two classes.
I know what class we were in.
We were in two classes, but so I saw him Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because it was
Okay,
like every
yeah.
other class.
And I'm the only male in like the entire program. 'cause
Sure.
or what was it? My degree was in child development.
Okay.
And so literally one of, I'm going to guess, 2 or 3 guys in the entire program. And so, yeah.
So the girls always talking about how bad the pickings are, right? Slim pickings
Right,
in this group.
Right.
Yeah, in some sense.
So when I never liked him. He was the one that walked in late, and like he always had his music really loud in
Too
his
loud.
headphones, and then he
Still
just like
deaf in this year.
like he'd come in with his longboard and stuff, and I was like, okay, whatever. So like I noticed him because you couldn't not notice
Sure,
him,
sure.
but I never
Can't not
li-
notice me.
but I did not like him.
This is great.
So we were in a human sexuality class, and
It was meant to be.
Oh.
there was this video playing that was supposed to be like a women empowerment video.
Yeah.
But it was not like empowering. It wasn't like a good
It wasn't a good video.
So I was just kind of like, whatever, not really watching. And then I noticed that he wasn't watching, like his head was down. And whenever I said that, he's like, I could have been sleeping. But
I do say that. I very well could have been sleeping.
he wasn't this
I wasn't
time.
sleeping this time.
But yeah, so I just noticed
Yeah.
that he wasn't paying attention to it because it wasn't like good for the eyes.
Yeah.
And then so after that, I walked up to him. We didn't know each other yet.
Sure.
And I just said, are you Catholic or Christian?
Nothing else. That's it.
Really?
That's it.
What made you ask Catholic or what? Why?
I didn't even know because like I'm not.
Forward like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not
sure.
even a forward person.
Yeah.
But I just walked up to him and asked, and then he said, I'm Christian, but I used to be Catholic. And I said, okay. And then I walked away.
Oh my God.
That's it. That's all I got.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So you had to work. I mean, this is a faith
This
move
is it.
now.
This is
Yeah.
a fake move. And it's wild because there's even more that kind of predates that. I had been kicked out of school. I had bad grades.
Sure.
And again, that happened in that wandering. I don't know if my parents know this, but I was kicked out of GRCC for 2 semesters until I had a letter of recommendation that allowed me back in, and then which came from one of my supervisors at the warehouse. And I actually had a dream that I got reinstated back into GRCC. And so I took it, and it said child development program. So I was like, I guess I'm going for child development. So that's exactly what I did. I sent in the letter. They reinstated me back in.
Wow.
And that was the first semester that I came in, and there we were. And so
No kidding.
then that happens, and she comes up to me, and I was like, okay, this was different. And so here we go.
So then what happens?
Yeah,
So she
what-
walks away.
Yeah. So you want me to say it or do you want to say
You
it?
can say.
So we went to, we had kids' food basket, right? Kids' food basket.
Okay, well, before that, because we were in the next class together.
Okay.
And then we could do an extra credit opportunity.
Yes.
And of course, I was going to do the extra credit. But then.
Of course she was. And I probably needed the extra credit. She didn't. I needed it. And so.
So I signed up, and he knew that I signed up for the morning one.
I did.
And then he's like, hey, I switched my time to the morning because he was going to be in the afternoon.
Oh,
And then
okay.
it's like,
Smooth.
I know.
I like you.
It's a
I
bit
like that.
yeah, so I was like, okay.
So
So
then,
you were like,
You're
okay,
like,
whatever.
Who cares?
Yeah, who
Because
cares?
like, we
Let me
didn't
switch to the
we
night.
really didn't know each other
no,
yet.
nothing. Yeah, that was it. And so, of course, pulled out all the stops.
Yeah.
Get there late, as I always do. But I came with Big B for everybody.
Oh,
And so
wow.
Picked up the big, like, what is that?
Yeah, the
whatever.
craft thing.
you got
Yeah.
it. Picked up that, showed up, just like super energetic, outgoing. And then we talked pretty much the whole time. And so it was at the Oktoberfest. They do, Kids Food Basket holds this event every year there, which
Cool.
is pretty cool. And but yeah, so then, yeah, I was like, I'm gonna use this time to get to know her.
So did you like her then? Or
That's a great question. Maybe a touch. I think I was more or less intrigued.
Sure.
for-
Because she asked you such
Yeah.
daring questions.
right.
Yes. And so because of that, and at least it leaned itself a little bit to interest. And so
Yeah.
And so then from there it was, okay, let's get to know each other. And that's exactly what we did. And we had all these classes already together, so
Yeah.
we got to know each other.
And then how long did you date?
Oh geez. Well, technically, I'll tell this one.
All right.
We didn't date until she left for school, and so
wow.
which was what I got into the program at
2014.
Yep. And so we both started class in 2012, right? 2012. And so it was just friends, literally.
Wow.
And I don't even think that I was like pining for anything more at that time. It was just friends.
Sure.
And getting to know her, know what she's about, and things like that. And then right before she goes to school, obviously there's now this kind of building mutual interest and what does this look like. And she gave me an ultimatum. And she said, I'm either going to school together or single. And that's it. And so I was like, okay. Here's part of me. I always had a fear of this commitment of
Yeah.
saying yes or saying no, because if I did, then that held me to my word.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
because of that, it was, again, that was just kind of the whole piece of her is now she was asking for me to commit.
Yeah.
And so I said, all right, then I guess we're going, or you're going, and we'll be together. And so
Very
then we
cool.
technically started dating then.
Yeah, dating in 2014.
Yep.
And then we got engaged December 2015.
Yep.
Married summer 2016.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. We didn't play games once it got rolling. So,
Yeah, I guess not. That's amazing.
yeah. So
That's amazing. And so you, what year did you get married again? One more time.
2016.
2016. And then how long were you married before you had your first?
We were married a year.
A year.
Well, a year before I got pregnant. And
Okay.
then
Yes.
he was born in 2018.
Amazing. So now, so you grew up in this family of faith, right? You guys meet each other, and you guys both have great relationships with Jesus, and everything's going great. But now you're a dad, right? And you're a mom, right? So how does this faith you have in Jesus, how did it change for you when you became a parent?
it's always changing. it's constantly changing us.
Well, right now, with a 3-year-old, I like to say that every single fruit of the Spirit is tested in me every day.
Girl, that don't change.
That has not changed for a long time.
As
Yeah.
a mother of a 22-year-old.
Like, as a newborn, it's like you have this newfound love. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I see how I can be God's child and how he
Yeah.
can love me no matter what, because you have that. And then they're a toddler, and you're like, yeah, they're into everything, but they're just curious. And then they turn 3, and then they just have a little bit of an attitude.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they are their own person,
Oh,
but
yeah.
they're still so little, and
Yeah.
then you have to train them. So I say that the fruits of the Spirit are tested in me every single day.
That's awesome. I love that.
That's
I love
this
that.
season right now.
I get it.
She undersells herself though. She
Yeah.
does it well.
I'm sure.
And so
I have no doubt about
literally,
that.
she does undersell herself on that portion of it. If the real person that's getting tested and needs to grow in it is me. And
Sure, sure.
Literally, I think Micaiah, our 3-year-old, he can recite all the fruits of the Spirit, and I can't. And so I'm like, he's teaching me even on a day-to-day
So
basis.
good.
and stuff.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I
true.
think it's beautiful.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, literally for me, it was just another one of those things where it's a coming of age.
Yeah.
And it's weird in men in particular. It's you feel like a man until you don't really feel like a man until you're feeling like a man.
Yeah,
Right? It's
totally,
like
yeah.
there's this weird, when do you turn into a man? And so, sure, there was times in my life that I felt like a man, but then you have a baby that literally poops on my chest the very first day that I meet him. That now I'm responsible for
Yeah,
everything that
absolutely,
he's doing.
yeah.
And I think
And they just send you home with
They
them,
just- yes.
right? With like nothing.
You got
They're
it.
like, here you go.
This
And
is
you're
it.
like, okay,
They
go
didn't
on
give us
your
an
way.
instruction manual.
I know.
nothing.
I know. I was like, oh my word.
Right. And so literally it's when I do say I think this having children has probably pushed me to be a better man.
Yeah,
And
good.
be a better father, obviously, because of those kids, but it's changed my life
Yeah.
forevermore. But
Now that you have kids, though, because I found out when I had mine, do you look back, right, at your parents and think of them completely different than what you did in the moment? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's because I mean, as a kid, you think they have everything right.
Yep.
They're gonna know everything, and then you get older, and then you start thinking, oh, well, they don't know it right.
Right.
And then you get a little bit older, and you're like, they probably did know it right, and they were just doing the best that they could in
Yeah,
any situation.
100%, yeah.
And then I think just even in this past season, just seeing my family, seeing your family, and how they honor their parents and what they do, it's you don't know, and just learning about how they were raised. I've started to learn more about how my parents were raised, and just hearing your mom and stuff like that talk about how they were raised. They're taking very much their growth of when they were parents and doing the best that they could, and it's tough. It's literally tough. But
It is interesting. You know, when we had Austin, Chandler, and Nicole, right? We have 3. I always kind of looked at my parents and realized they did the best with what they had. They did, I'd say they did better than their parents. Like they'd gotten better over, everybody had gotten better. But it really gave me, watching Mandy with our kids, gave me a great appreciation for my mom. 'Cause my mom had a rough situation. My dad wasn't a very kind guy. He had some challenges. I love my dad and I celebrate him, but he had some challenges, and my mom really had to kind of be both at times. She had to kind of be the dad and the mom, and she had to keep us in line. And I'd love to say that I was an easy child to keep in line, but
Right.
that's not true. You know, I was a little bit harder to keep in line than some. But she really had to fight for us all the time, you know, and watching Mandy with the kids, you know, and we were blessed. Our kids were like super
Yes.
well behaved.
Yes.
I can't explain why. They did not get that from my side, you know, but they were just genuinely kind, like very easy kids. But watching Mandy have to stand up for them and be in their corner, and especially before we were saved and we didn't always see things the same way, like it just gave me a huge appreciation for my mom that I probably didn't have before I had kids, right? And there's an aspect of once you become a parent, you understand how hard it is.
Right.
And you start to understand like, oh, like, yeah, I'm gonna make a lot of the same mistakes they did, you know, and it's, you just kind of learn and grow. But I will say, watching you as a mom, even from a distance, I think you're a phenomenal mom. I've always been really impressed with you and Cody. And I think one of the things about you guys that's always, and why we wanted to have you, big reason why we had you, I've loved watching how you interact with people. There's this aspect about both of you guys. You're such a safe place to be around, right? And you almost feel like a judgment-free zone, right? Like you just kind of love people where they're at, and you show that and display that really well. Can you just talk a little bit about how you do that, how you live this life where you're such a safe place to be around?
You want to go?
No.
Do you got anything?
I think you do.
Well, if you know Enneagram at all,
Yeah,
Yes.
a little bit.
I'm a 9, so that's like
Oh.
the peacekeeper.
Yeah.
And then
Which is like my mom. That's
Sure.
exactly like my mom. And they always say, oh, you marry someone like your mom or your
Well-
dad. Maybe not. Not in all circumstances, but.
I mean,
you
they say that for a reason.
You're welcome.
But yes, she is very much the peacekeeper.
And so with that, I didn't know like which wing I was, but then I was talking to different people at church, and they're like, "Oh, I think you're the 8 wing because you bring the truth, but you just say it in a nice way, so then
Sure.
people don't feel bad." And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, like I guess that's me." So I don't think it's something that I try at hard
Sure.
to I just want to be kind to people.
Good for you.
So that's like, even now teaching Micaiah,
Yeah.
I always talk about kindness, like just being kind, because that will take you places.
Yeah.
So I think that's my main thing. I just want to be kind to people. I don't ever want somebody to feel bad because of things that I say.
Sure.
So like, even like with us, if Cody takes something that I say the wrong way, I say like, it's never my intention. Like I would never intentionally say something that hurts somebody.
Right.
So that's just
Good for you.
my main.
Sure. Yeah, there's been times that I've thought, because my inner workings of my brain would say, she really means this. But it's not. There's
Right, yeah.
nothing there. It's literally wholeheartedly with usually just a straight intention. There wasn't,
So good.
let me manipulate this and spin it how I want to spin it. Or no, it's usually just me making assumptions, and we don't want to do that. And,
That's awesome.
But that's usually what happens.
Good for you guys.
But yeah, I think for me, I say this kind of in a different way. I've probably looked at myself as an outsider before.
Sure.
Just didn't do things, or maybe always thought the same way that I thought other people did. And I think even some of that came from just insecurity in myself.
Yeah.
And knowing that if someone else felt like that, I know exactly how you feel.
Yeah.
And so I don't want anyone to feel like that. It
Yeah.
would never be my intention for somebody to feel like that, or more or less for someone just to feel like that in general. And so I think ultimately everyone has something good to tell. Everyone's got a story, and it's finding out what that could be from that person, because I think just in terms of what I've come to know, and just everyone's got a part to play.
Everybody,
And so
yeah.
if someone doesn't feel like they have that space to be able to do that in any regard, even if it's just for me, I'm probably going to be better for it, for what you have to offer, and I probably have something to offer you as well. And so it's really trying to figure out what that could be, because maybe you don't even have anything to offer me, but you have somebody or something to offer somebody else.
So good.
And but yeah, so I think it just comes from a place of, I probably felt that before and just trying to mirror, or not even mirror it, but change how you might see it in the mirror.
Yeah.
I feel insecure. I might be on the outside, but you don't have to be.
No, so true.
But,
And Cody's into a lot of different things,
Oh,
so he can connect to anybody on
That's true.
anything.
That's so
If
true.
it's sports
Yes.
or if it's like nerdy hobbies, even like.
Yeah, like what
There's
nerdy
some
hobbies?
what nerdy hobbies.
Let's
Yeah,
start
what are
naming off
those?
some
Yeah.
of those.
I mean, if I get into something, I want to get into it.
Yeah,
And I
think-
want to get everything with it.
Oh,
Yeah.
And I want to
That's
know.
I think it's the
So-
most righteous way to live, my
well,
friends.
you have so many of it. The one thing I was going to do this one time that I
Yeah.
need every single thing for.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now, I'm not going to do that
But then you
anymore.
might
But we need
need
to
it.
keep
You might need it down the road.
Yes,
I
exactly.
don't know how many VHS tapes we have in our house. Thousands of them. Or this X-Wing thing.
Hey.
We have
Yeah.
every single thing. And
We don't have every single thing. We have a
There's plenty of
Few.
things to still be bought.
there's a lot out there. I've really dialed back on the X-wing.
So yeah. Well, yeah, I'd like to get into things, and it's fun.
Yeah.
good.
I was saying it's a good thing. Like you
It
can
is.
connect it with anybody.
Yes. I like to call it a chameleon effect. I like being able to go into a situation, and they always say, oh, jack of all trades, but you're never good at one.
Yeah.
I like to say I'm actually good at all those different things, and there's probably one or two that I'm really good at.
There you go.
But literally, I enjoy that aspect because
Sure.
it comes along with that.
Yeah.
A chameleon's good at being a chameleon, so why can't I be good at trying to be a chameleon, right?
I'm down,
I
man.
mean,
I'm with you. I'm in.
I've never heard that analogy.
Hey,
before.
listen, I feel reborn in this moment.
There you go. So that's the thing. A good friend of mine told me sometimes he doesn't know what I'm saying, but he gets what I'm saying, and so I'm like,
Yeah,
that's
very
all I
rarely
care
do I
about.
understand you, but I totally get it.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Well, guys, this has been a ton of fun. Really enjoyed this, and if you were to give, I kind of want to wrap up this last big question. If you guys have been married how many years now? 5.
5.
So 5 years in, what would be the number one piece of advice you'd give to somebody in their first year of marriage?
I don't know. I feel like I just had this conversation with Melissa Hughes like a month ago, and then now I don't remember what I said. But I think we both said something along the lines of communication.
Yeah.
Like you can never over communicate. You can never expect them to know exactly what you want unless you communicate. So like everybody says how that's key. Like communication is key.
It is.
But it always is no matter what,
Yeah.
and it never isn't gonna be
Right.
important. So if you can get that down early,
It's helpful.
yeah, then that'll get you places.
I like it. I like it.
And again, even this season, you would know, it hasn't been our best season.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's starting to be.
That's
and I think
amazing.
because of that, it's one, we've surrounded ourselves with people that have been through this.
Yeah.
Because it's no easy road
No.
every single day
No.
in all the hobbies, in all the X
Yeah.
in all the VHS. Oh yeah. It's no easy road. And so literally I think because of being surrounded in a church body that's growing, in
Yeah.
a church body that's healthy, with people that are wanting to see you succeed, you can only succeed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think the first thing that came to mind, and I was like, well, how does that really play out, right? It's being patient.
yeah.
And it's not even so much patience for, oh yeah, just being patient, but it's knowing that if we say that from glory to glory, it's this idea of what I think Chrysta does well for me is that she knows who I can be if I continue to pursue God. I very much well know who she could be if she continues to pursue God. And so it's being patient and knowing that there's going to be time and there needs to be time for that person to grow into that.
So good.
And expecting that in the first year and expecting that even through the 5 years or how many years are you guys married?
22.
22. So
Yeah.
knowing that.
Mandy still has to carry a lot of patience for me.
For sure. But it's if Christ can wait on us
Absolutely.
to reach from that glory to glory, then I think we can exercise that same in knowing, be patient on one another.
So
you know?
true.
But
It's really good.
it's tough though.
It is. It is. We often told our kids when they were younger is no one gets through this life alone. And everybody needs people with them that love them, care for them, pray for them, support them, walk them through their journey. And in marriage, what you have to do is learn that you can never operate alone, right? And you see a lot of marriage, especially the first year, it's two people living a single life under the same house.
Right.
Right, and learning how to become one is such an essential piece. And I think that comes into communication, and it's a huge part of having patience, because you have to learn patience for that process as you guys figured out how to love one another better, right, and be one better. And me and Mandy have just been super blessed by you guys, and we just want to thank you for everything you do. And we love you and appreciate you so much, and just thank you so much for taking time to do this. And
Loved it.
it was awesome. You
Thanks
bet.
for having us.
Love you guys.